Real quick, I want to tell this story before we really get started, okay? So there are two guys interviewing for the same position. So the interviewer calls the first guy in. Now this first guy, his resume is spectacular. I mean, this guy has got 4 or 5 degrees. He's a doctor. He's very smart. I mean, on paper, this guy's got all the tools. So the interviewer calls him in. You know, the guy comes in, he's kind of, looks like he's down in the dumps. He gives a half-hearted handshake, sits down. The interviewer says, "How you doing?" He says, "I'm doing pretty good." Okay, so the interview goes along just like that. And the last question the interviewer always asks, he asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And the guy replies, "Well, hopefully I just have a job. I'm just kind of real discouraged about the economy." The interviewer says, "Okay, well, I'll be in contact with you." The last guy comes in for the interview. He calls him in. This guy runs in. He's high energy. He's pumped up. He says, "Hey, how you doing, man?" He slaps his hand, gives him a firm handshake, looks him in the eyes, sits down. The interviewer, he's a little surprised. He says, "How you doing?" The guy says, "Man, I'm doing great. I'm the man for this job." The interviewer looks at his resume. It's not even half as good as the guy who just left, but his energy is there. So they go through the interview process. The last question he always asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And this guy, he gets pumped up. He says, "I see myself right here making this company a lot of money because I am the man for this job." Who do you think got that job, guys? The second guy got it. Why? Because he had confidence. Confidence is one of the most important things that you can put on. Every day we should wake up and say, "I'm making a conscious decision to put on confidence." Having your chest out, having your head up, walking with confidence, a firm handshake, eye contact. These are all things that are extremely important. I see a lot of ladies, y'all take a lot of care in your appearance. You got the weave, you got the hair, you got the makeup, you got the eyelashes, you got the eyes, right? You're doing all this stuff to appear attractive. But I'm here to tell you, confidence is the most attractive trait that a person can have. Right? We all seen a person with no confidence. Something just doesn't seem right about them. On the flip side, we've seen a person with lesser attractive traits, but with a lot of confidence, a lot of, y'all call it swagger, right? And it improves their look. It all comes down to confidence. So why is that? Here's the answer, guys. We've all heard the phrase, "perception is reality." Well, your perception of yourself reflects through your demeanor, through your confidence, and that affects how people perceive you. The more self-confidence you have, the more likely people are to receive you in a positive way. Confidence also affects the likelihood to succeed in whatever you're doing. This reminds me of a story. There was a businessman who was deep in debt. He didn't know how he was going to pay off all this debt. There were creditors calling him, asking for payment. So he was frustrated. He went to the park one day and he was sitting down sad, and an old man appeared. And the old man said, "What's going on?" So the businessman explained to him everything that had been going on. And the old man took out his checkbook and he wrote a check and handed it to the businessman. The old man said, "Meet me here in 1 year and you can pay me the money back." So the old man walked away. The businessman looked at the check and it was written out for $500,000, and it was signed John Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the world. So he got really excited. He was thinking, "Man, I could pay all of my debt off with this money." But instead he made a decision. He put the check away in a safe just for insurance. And something spectacular happened, guys. He began to close deals. He began to make investments. He began to make smart decisions. And in less than a year's time, guys, he had paid back all his debt and he was making money again. So a year later, he was so excited. He was ready to meet the guy. He was at the park. So the old man came back, and just as the businessman was going to hand him the check back and explain to him his success, a nurse came running out from the distance, grabbed the old man and said, "I hope he hasn't been bothering you. He always escapes from the nursing home and tells people he's John Rockefeller." And the nurse led him away. The businessman stood there. He was stunned because all year long he had been convincing people, buying, dealing, selling, because he thought he had $500,000 behind him, right? So suddenly he realized, man, it wasn't the money, either real or imagined, that had turned his life around. It was a newfound self-confidence that gave him the power to achieve anything that he went after. And I'm telling you today, you gotta walk around with that same self-confidence. You gotta be sure in yourself. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with this. At the end of the day, you've got to see yourself as someone who is important, somebody with something to offer the world. So stand up straight, keep your head up, speak clearly, make eye contact. Not only will you make a positive impression on others, but you'll feel empowered yourself. No one likes to be around somebody who's always down. We are attracted to people who are likable, fun, confident. Subconsciously, when we see someone who is confident in themselves, we are confident in them as well. You'll find that when you feel and act more confident, people will want to be around you. Confidence, after all, is attractive. Try it.